Hi everybody, my name is Rob Provenche. I'm down here in Costa Rica. It is the end of March, roughly speaking, and going home next Tuesday a little bit early because of the pandemic. Anyways, I wanted to update my 1 year into the carnivore diet, the lifestyle. Now last year I was here and I believe I was 2 months into that particular diet and I put up a 10-minute video. I'm hoping to make this video 10 minutes maximum. But I want to give you my 1 year update. I know it's a little bit over a year now because I started this in January 3rd, roughly 2019. I'm going to put the link to that video in the description. I encourage you to watch it if you haven't watched it. So I just wanted to give you an update and a little bit of information. There's a lot of, I get a lot of pushback and I get a lot of nonsense and I get a lot of opinions from people when I talk about this. So that's one thing I've noticed over the years. I've tried to generally not talk about it to people. People think it's kind of weird. People call it bullshit. People call it nonsense. People can get quite aggressive in their opinions about how they've sort of got this attitude that it's wrong. And so, you know, I kind of pull back and not really talk about it too much. Now, if people ask me, which they do occasionally, they're curious, I get very passionate about these topics. So this coming from somebody who in 2011 watched Plants Over Knives, no, Forks Over Knives, sorry, which is a plant-based vegan propaganda documentary. But at the time, I bought into it hook, line, and sinker. The most recent video that's come out and it's on Netflix is called Game Changer. I want to tell you right now, it's complete nonsense. It's been completely debunked. Don't buy into it. It's complete 100% scientifically untrue. We as humans, as I've discovered over the last year, because one of the things that I had done when I got into this lifestyle was I research and I research and I research, and I'm following a lot of really solid evidence and great scientists and doctors and what have you. And one of whom is Sean Baker, and that's his website back there, which is meatrx.com. If you want to watch and see some actual stories, there's like literally hundreds, if not thousands, including mine, which I submitted last winter. And so let me I'm going to get into 3 different areas. But before I touch on them, I just need to summarize that. 2 things. One, we evolved eating animals. Animal fat is our most optimum way to get our energy, and it puts us in the highest state of health. And this affects our mental health, our physical health. And since the 1950s, they've come up with this ideology that fat is bad for you. It's nothing but propaganda. It's very similar to the way society treated cigarettes up until the 90s, where they finally had to say, look, cigarettes are really bad for you. Now, I don't want to compare it. Well, I could compare sugar and processed foods to cigarettes easily. But what happened in the 50s was things got switched around. And I would highly recommend you either watch the TED Talk with Tina, not Tina, her book is called The Big Fat Surprise. This lady journalist did 10 years of hard research, and she revealed the history behind why fat was so demonized. And I got to tell you, I'm not into conspiracy theories too much, but there are biases, and some of the biggest biases in our society come from big industry. You know, the pharma industry and sugar industry played a big role. There's way too much sugar, way too much processed food, way too many vegetable oils and grains, etc., etc. Anyways, so I want to get into 3 core areas, and I'll be quick about it, just to update my carnivore lifestyle. Generally speaking, I got into it for healing purposes because I was really suffering joint pains, mental fog, nihilism, and mostly headaches. I literally thought I had a brain tumor and I was dying. Got to watch the video. I'm not going to get into that right now, but just know that as soon as I switched to a meat-only diet, which can be called a low-carb diet, which can be called a keto plus diet, I healed right away. right away. And for some people who switch over on this diet, it takes them a while. I encourage anybody who's curious about it, don't listen to anything I say. Try it for 30 days. I got to really encourage you. Though for a lot of people, they say, well, you know, I eat a balanced meal. Well, that's fine. That's fine. And you're pretty healthy. But others who really push back and fight me on this, I remember back in almost 20 years ago, I was in the Zone with Barry Sears. You know, remember the Zone system? That was a big, not for photographers. The Zone was a diet, nutrition, a well-researched approach to eating. But I remember something he said in his book. He said, if you want to find out how many carbs you're eating too much, there's a really simple technique that you can do to figure that one out. Go into your bedroom, get a full-length mirror, take all your clothes off, and just look. It'll be obvious. That'll tell you right there. So anyways, the results have been absolutely astounding. And what happened with me is I really researched it. And I thought, you know, I'm going to take this 1 week, 1 month at a time. Then 6 months rolled by, and then a year went by. And where I'm at right now, this is, to me, a for life. I eat 99% meat, beef, some chicken, some fish. I've taken to eating sardines, which at first I was like, ugh, but then it's not so bad now. And that's all I eat. High fat, healthy fat, no processed foods, zero sugar, like no exception. See, I'm really afraid to go back to those headaches. For the average person who feels kind of good, they will probably have cheat days and they'll have a harder time adopting this diet. For those people who were suffering from obesity, major health problems, and had healing like I did, they tend to stick to it. Go to meatrx.com to read some of those stories. So I just want to point that out. So for those of you who are like, yeah, I eat a healthy diet, I'm balanced, fine, that's good. Good for you. If you ever find yourself in a position where the doctor says you got to take medication for your health to do with cholesterol and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So yeah, the science is pretty solid. There are, as I've discovered, a lot of great presentations. There are actually conferences throughout the world where these medical professionals, and this information does not hit the mainstream. Do your own research. Just go search, there's, I don't know what they're called, but they're on YouTube. A lot of solid evidence behind the science. And some people say, well, it's more suitable, you know, not everybody's the same. Yeah, we are all the same. We all have a liver for the most part. We all have a pancreas. And I know there are exceptions where you have type 1 diabetes. But when you look at it's literally pandemic levels where in North America and in the modern world we have crazy amounts. Like 50% of the population is obese or diabetic or pre-diabetic, and it's type 2 diabetes. It's all linked to your nutrition. I mean, it's so obvious. I can't see why people don't see this. And when I switched over to this diet, I felt so good. I eat twice a day. I eat mostly beef, like I had mentioned. A typical day will be a pound of hamburger with 2 eggs. I'll cook it or I'll make patties. And I may once in a while eat some avocados. My cheat food are peanuts. Not necessarily the best thing because of the omega-6s, but it's my one little cheat thing that I allow. And I probably shouldn't. And I hope to someday just eliminate that. So lots of steaks from Costco. And there's a whole argument, well, we're going to stop being cruel to animals and killing animals and farming. Yes, those are legitimate concerns. But if you look into farming practices, when farming practices are done right, it actually has a positive effect on the environment. It's big, large industrial farms that are the issue, and I agree that that is an issue. But if we're healthy, if we're strong, it'll put us in the right state in order to find solutions with the optimum health at our side. Being on a plant-based vegan, especially a raw vegan, man, it's just so destructive to your health. And I had no idea. I had no idea that that was the case when I bought into the whole ideology. And for, 7 or 8 years, I suffered not knowing. And right up to the last minute, I was convinced that plant-based was the way to go. And literally, and again, it's in, I'm not going to get into it, but you got to read or watch the video. I'll link it down below. I'm also going to quickly tell you a brief story, and then I'm going to shut up. But I got to tell you that, in summary, that this lifestyle is for me. I'm not changing it, and to some degree, I may start in that. I do, like when I go out and there's other people, like they invite us over, and I kind of have to be that guy. So I'm only eating meat, so I'm not eating pasta or anything, and they understand. I'll even buy the meat. But they'll serve up vegetables and salads. I will, under those circumstances, have a few sprigs of, green vegetables, asparagus, whatnot. I'll have a couple. So I do that once in a while, and mostly for social reasons. Or I'm just starting to implement them at a very, very small degree. Everyone is so resistant to this idea. They think that it's so wrong, but I'm telling you right now, it's not. We evolved as human beings eating large megafauna animals throughout the world. I mean, it's kind of tragic, but that's just the way we evolved. We evolved, our brains grew, we got healthy and strong by tracking down, hunting, killing, and eating these big, fat, juicy animals. They're called ruminant animals, by the way, and a cow is the most optimum. So back last spring, I get an email text from my cousin's husband, Bob Mongray, and I did an interview with him about last fall, and I'll put that link in below. I urge you, if you're middle-aged especially, and you have health problems, watch this video. But let me tell you what he said to me. Okay, here's what he said, and then I'm done. He said, after much research, I ended up slowly transitioning to full keto. So in September of 2017. See, Bob's a smart dude. Next line, watch this. Did this while checking in every 3 months with my doctor and full blood work. So smart guy. He wants the science to back up what he's doing. He's apprehensive, like I was when I got into it. I was very apprehensive, and I took it 1 week, 1 month at a time. He says, by the end of 2017, check this out, I was off my diabetes medication, 2 different blood pressure lowering medications, and cholesterol meds. By the way, cholesterol meds are evil. Statins is like a $2 trillion industry. There's no proof that it actually has a long-term reduction in cardiac issues. Blood work was spectacular. Since December 2017, I maintained my 90-pound weight loss. Keto has worked out so well. He's slim, strong, and healthy. I think Bob's about 67 or 66 years old now. He says, finally, when my doctor told me I was diabetic, he said this was for life. See, this is what the mainstream medical mindset is. They just don't know. He told me the disease was irreversible. Duh. Is it? And that it would only get worse, and there was nothing I could do about it. Man, he proved them wrong. Nothing he could do about it. Nothing. That's what they're telling people. Take your meds. He said he would start me on medication, and as the disease progresses, the medication would increase, and eventually I would die from one of the complications sooner than later. Ivor Cummings is a bioengineer out of Ireland. Ivor, I-V-O-R, Cummings. Go search him. His presentations are absolutely astronomical. He says the same thing, and he says that like the wheels start to fall off. Your health starts to deteriorate because of insulin resistance, and type 2 diabetes. So, for those of you who have no intention of ever switching over to this diet, that's cool. If you're living balanced and you enjoy ice cream 2-3 times a week or once a week or whatever, that's cool. But for those of you who are really suffering with health issues, especially obesity, blood pressure, especially diabetes type 2, look into it. Look into it. For those of you who are no intention, at least keep an open mind and know, yeah, it's not bullshit. Okay? It's not this evil thing. I've literally had people ghost me because of this. But it's pretty solid, and I'm going on 14 months now, and I have no intention of ever changing because I feel so good. All right. Thank you very much.